The last section for this week talks about gymnosperms and angiosperms. The development of seeds allowed for reproductive advantages to allow these things to grow and spread and be dispersed in other parts of the world. So seeds allowed for the development of gymnosperms and angiosperms. The sporophytes of most gymnosperms are woody trees or shrubs. Reproductive structures and leaf types are diverse. Gymnosperms are divided into 4 groups: cycads, the ginkgos, conifers, and gonadophytes. Gymnosperm life cycle is also an alternation of generations. The sporophyte, which is usually a large pine tree type organism, has female cones and male cones. Haploid spores form by meiosis in those sporophyte cones. The male cones produce microspores by meiosis on cone scales. Ovules on female cone scales produce megaspores by meiosis. Spores develop by mitosis into microscopic gametophytes. Gametophytes unite at pollination. A pollen grain germinates, producing a pollen tube. Sperm nuclei travel through the pollen tube to the egg cells, and fertilization occurs. The resulting zygote grows mitotically into an embryo inside a seed on a female cone scale. The seed germinates and grows mitotically into a mature sporophyte. And then this is just that overview again. And then here you can see the young sporophyte or the seedling that's hatching out to grow into an adult sporophyte to complete the cycle. So now we're going to talk about angiosperms. So angiosperms produce seeds in fruits. Today, most plant species have reproductive structures called flowers, which develop into seed-toting fruits. Flowers produce pollen and eggs. Wind or animals usually carry pollen from plant to plant. Fruits protect the seeds and disperse them into new habitats. Variation in flowers and fruits is the result of millions of years of evolution. Scientists classify diverse angiosperms into several taxa, notably the eudicots and monocots. Their life cycle is an alternation of generations. So the sporophyte, here's a tree, produces haploid spores by meiosis, and those are produced in flowers. Each mother cell in a pollen sac divides into 4 microspores. Each mother cell in an ovule divides into 4 megaspores. Only one of them persists. And that's kind of what happens with meiosis in humans. So when men produce sperm, they go through meiosis and they produce 4 sperm cells. But in women, that egg divides by meiosis to produce 1 ovum and then these 3 polar bodies. So where they say only one persists in flowering plants, it's the same thing that happens in people. Spores divide mitotically into microscopic gametophytes. During pollination, a pollen grain lands on a stigma. The pollen grain germinates, producing a pollen tube. Sperm nuclei travel through the pollen tube and fertilize the egg and polar nuclei. The zygote develops into an embryo, and the endosperm provides its food. Seeds contain the embryo, the endosperm, part of the flower develops into an enclosing fruit. Seeds germinate into young sporophytes and the cycle begins again. So this is just an overview of that life cycle, and then here you can see when the seed germinates, the young sporophyte coming out.